The clink of champagne glasses sliced through the murmur of the crowded restaurant, but it was the weight of the velvet box in my pocket that anchored me to the moment, heavy as a stone sinking in my chest. I'd spent weeks planning this, every detail, from the candlelit corner table at La Vigna to the speech I'd rehearsed until my throat ached. Tonight was supposed to be the night I asked Elena to marry me again, to renew the vows we'd made 7 years ago under a willow tree in her mother's backyard. But as I sat across from her, watching her laugh too brightly at the waiter's joke, something gnawed at me, a quiet, insidious doubt that had been growing for months, like a crack spreading through glass. Elena looked radiant, her auburn hair catching the flicker of the candles, her green eyes sparkling with a warmth I hadn't seen in weeks. She wore the emerald dress I loved, the one that hugged her curves and made her look like she'd stepped out of a dream. But her smile felt rehearsed, her glances darting to her phone every few minutes, as if it held a secret she couldn't wait to unravel. I told myself it was nerves, maybe she sensed what was coming. Maybe she was just distracted by work. But deep down I knew better. "James, you're awfully quiet tonight," she said, her voice light but edged with something I couldn't place. She reached for her wineglass, her fingers brushing mine briefly, a touch that used to set my heart racing, but now felt like a ghost passing through me. I forced a smile, my thumb tracing the edge of the ring box in my pocket. "Just savoring the moment," I said, but the words tasted like ash. I wanted to believe in us, in the life we'd built, the late-night talks, the Sunday mornings tangled in bed, the way she'd hum off-key while cooking pasta. But the past few months had been different. She'd been distant, her laughter rarer, her excuses sharper. And then there was the phone call I'd overheard 2 weeks ago, her voice low and urgent, saying, "We can't keep doing this." I told myself it was nothing, a work thing, a misunderstanding. But doubt is a seed, and once it's planted, it grows. The restaurant buzzed around us, a symphony of clinking cutlery, soft jazz, and murmured conversations. La Vigna was the kind of place where people came to celebrate anniversaries, promotions, love. The walls were lined with black and white photos of Paris, and the air smelled of rosemary and roasted garlic. Our table, tucked near a window overlooking the city's twinkling lights, felt like a stage set for a perfect moment. But perfection is fragile, and I was about to shatter it. "Elena," I began, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "There's something I want to say." Her eyes flicked up from her phone, and for a moment, I saw a flash of something. Guilt? Fear? It vanished as quickly as it came, replaced by a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "What's that, love?" she asked, leaning forward, her necklace glinting in the candlelight. I took a breath, my heart pounding like a drum in a funeral march. 7 years ago, I promised to love you through everything, sickness, health, the good days and the bad. And I meant every word. "You're my home, Elena. You always have been." My voice cracked and I hated it, hated how vulnerable I sounded. "I want to ask you something tonight, something important." Her smile faltered, just for a second, and she reached for her glass again, her fingers trembling slightly. "James, you're scaring me," she said with a nervous laugh. "What's this about?" I pulled the box from my pocket, the velvet soft against my sweating palm, and set it on the table between us. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I thought I saw tears. Joy, I told myself it had to be joy. But then her phone buzzed, and her gaze darted to it, her face tightening. She silenced it quickly, but not before I saw the name on the screen. Mark. Mark. Her coworker. The one she'd been spending late nights with. The one she'd mentioned too casually in passing. The one whose name had started appearing in her texts more often than mine. I'd seen it on her phone a week ago, when she'd left it unlocked on the counter. A single message, innocent enough. "Meet me at the usual spot." I told myself it was nothing, just work. But the pieces were falling into place, and they formed a picture I couldn't unsee. "Elena," I said, my voice low, "before I open this box, I need to know something." Her fingers froze on the stem of her glass. "What?" she asked, her tone cautious, like she was stepping onto thin ice. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on hers. "Who's Mark?" The air between us thickened, heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Her face paled, and for a moment she didn't speak. The restaurant's noise faded, the world narrowing to just us, to the truth I'd been avoiding for months. He's just a friend from work, she said finally, her voice too steady, too practiced. You know that, James. Why are you asking? I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the lie was there, in the way her eyes wouldn't meet mine, in the way her hand tightened around her glass. I reached for my phone, my fingers shaking as I opened the app I'd installed last week. A tracking app, a desperate measure I'd taken after finding a hotel receipt in her purse, dated for a night she'd said she was at a conference. The app showed her location history, and there it was, a pin dropped at a hotel across town, 3 nights in the past month, each time coinciding with her late work nights. Elena, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I know you've been lying to me. Her eyes widened, and she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. The silence was deafening, a confession in itself. I slid my phone across the table, the screen glowing with the damning evidence. She stared at it, her breath hitching, and then she looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. James, she started, but I cut her off. Don't, I said, my voice sharp enough to make her flinch. Don't lie to me again. I deserve the truth. The restaurant's hum returned, but it felt distant, like a dream I was no longer part of. Around us, couples laughed, waiters glided by, oblivious to the wreckage unfolding at our table. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to demand answers, but instead, I sat there, my heart breaking in slow motion. It's not what you think, she said finally, her voice trembling. Mark and it was a mistake. A stupid, stupid mistake. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? I repeated, my voice rising despite myself. You've been sneaking around for months, Elena. Hotels, late nights, lies. And you're telling me it didn't mean anything. Her tears spilled over now, streaking her mascara. I was going to end it, she said, her voice breaking. I swear, James. I love you. I didn't want to hurt you. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that startled even me. You love me? You love me, but you've been sleeping with someone else? How does that work, Elena? Explain it to me. She flinched, her hands twisting in her lap. I was lost, she whispered. Work was so stressful, and Mark, he was there. It wasn't about love. It was just an escape. An escape. The word hit me like a punch. I'd been her home, her safe place, and she'd run to someone else for an escape. The ring box sat between us, a cruel reminder of the future I'd been ready to offer her. I wanted to throw it, to watch it shatter against the wall, but instead I picked it up, my fingers trembling. James, please, she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled away, the motion instinctive, like recoiling from a flame. I'm so sorry. I'll end it. I'll do anything to fix this. I looked at her, at the woman I'd loved for nearly a decade, and I didn't recognize her anymore. The Elena I knew wouldn't have done this, wouldn't have torn our life apart for a fleeting thrill. But maybe I'd never really known her at all. The restaurant's microphone crackled to life, the manager's voice cutting through the noise. Good evening, everyone, he said, his tone cheerful. We've got a special moment tonight. One of our guests has something to share. Sir, the floor is yours. I hadn't planned this. I told the manager I was proposing, that I wanted to make it special, to let the whole room celebrate with us. But now, as every eye turned to me, as the room fell silent, I felt a surge of something reckless, something raw. I stood, my legs unsteady, and took the microphone from the manager's outstretched hand. Elena's eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. James, what are you doing? She whispered, her voice desperate. I ignored her, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The microphone was cold in my hand, the weight of it grounding me as I faced the room. Dozens of faces stared back, curious, expectant, waiting for a moment of joy. I'd give them something else entirely. Good evening, I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. I came here tonight to propose to my wife Elena, to renew our vows, to promise her forever all over again. The crowd murmured, a few people clapping softly. Elena's face was pale, her hands gripping the edge of the table. But I can't do that, I continued, my voice growing louder, sharper. Because tonight, I found out she's been cheating on me. For months. With a man named Mark. A gasp rippled through the room, followed by a stunned silence. Elena's sob broke the quiet, a raw, choking sound that cut through me like a knife. I didn't look at her. I couldn't. I loved her, I said, my voice cracking now, the words spilling out like blood from a wound. I gave her everything, my heart, my trust, my future. And she threw it away. So instead of a proposal, I'm standing here, telling all of you that love isn't enough. Trust is. And when that's gone, there's nothing left. I dropped the microphone onto the table, the thud echoing in the silent room. The ring box was still in my hand, and I opened it, staring at the diamond that had cost me 3 months' salary. Then I set it down in front of her, the ring glinting accusingly in the candlelight. Keep it, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Maybe it'll remind you of what you broke. I turned and walked out, the weight of every stare burning into my back. The night air hit me like a slap as I stepped outside, the city's lights blurring through the tears I hadn't realized were falling. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay there, couldn't face her, couldn't face the wreckage of the life I'd thought we had. Behind me, the restaurant door swung shut, muffling the sound of Elena's sobs. I kept walking, the ring box gone, my heart heavier than ever. The future I'd planned was gone, but in that moment, I felt something new, a flicker of freedom, raw and painful, but real. I'd lost her, but maybe, just maybe, I'd found myself.